Alan Mays with Monumental Sports Network, as you know, Capitals analyst, and CBS as well in these playoffs. He joins us now. And Al, you were at Game 4. And if I can just stop before I go any further, you look so happy to be home. Just tell me what's your deal, man.
Well, it is unbelievable to be back here and to see people energized like I can't remember it being like this back in the Oilers' heydays in the 80s. And the other night leaving the game was one of the most spectacular scenes that I've ever seen. We left about 45 minutes from the arena after the game, and everyone was out in the streets honking their horns, partying, high-fiving strangers. And we walked about 2 miles to a restaurant, my 19-year-old son and I, and people were on top of it. It was just incredible to be here. It was such a great energy and vibe right from about 3 hours before the game all the way through to midnight.
You met Shania, which may or may not be a dream of mine. How was that?
Well, so I've always told you I've been lucky in life, and things have really, I've been blessed. And I look at the other night, I was in the suite with Gary Bettman and Bill Daly, had some incredible conversations. And all of a sudden I turned around and Shania was in there with her husband and their friends and her handlers. And she's a true legitimate hockey fan. She was oohing and eyeing and cringing on, every shot that hit the post. And she was all Oilers all the way. But it was pretty cool to see what a down-to-earth person she is for such a world-renowned superstar.
Of course. She's the second most famous person from Timmins, Ontario, behind Dave Poulin. But anyways, to the game. How much did the 5-minute major downgraded to 2 affect the outcome, do you think, in the first period?
It was important because I do believe that they got the call right in that instance because, it happened so fast. And I like the fact that it didn't take forever to get the ruling. And I think they were looking at, I think it was Fogle that went through, but he was skating as the player was tripped. He went into Fogle, and it ended up showing that it hit his arm and his chest, basically. So it was a correct call, in my opinion. Definitely a 2-minute penalty. But at the same time, I don't think that affected the game. The most important part of the game was the fact that the Oilers started putting pucks to the paint from behind the goal line, from the corners, certainly from the slot. And they had played perimeter hockey. Granted, the Panthers had forced them, but they took advantage of home ice, the matchups the other night. They took some players out of the lineup. I thought the Oilers did a lot of things right. I don't fault Bob for any of the goals against. They just figured out they had to get pucks to the paint somehow, and they did a great job of it.
Yeah, I don't blame Bob. And by the way, the penalty didn't really affect the game either. But just consider this, Al. It was 0-0 at the time. If it stays a 5 and the Panthers pot 2, it's probably over. So, I mean, they got the call right, but at the time it was big.
What we've seen in the playoffs, if you're dependent on your power play to win your games, it's not going to happen. The further you go, it gets harder and harder to convert in your power plays. Both of these teams are excellent on the power play. Both of these teams are excellent on the penalty kill. So, to me, I wasn't expecting any goals either way out of either team's power play because what we've seen the mastery of the penalty kill as time has gone on. But no matter what happened, win that game, in my opinion, 1,000% if they score first. And I'd said on NHL TV earlier that day, I said the only way the Oilers can win this game is they've got to score the first 2 goals no matter what. They've got to wake this crowd up. The people were uptight in the building before the game. And then the first one, there's a relief. And then the second one, it's like, all right, a little bit of confidence. Then the Panthers get back in it. And then the Oilers go right back and score right away. But they had a game plan. They stuck to it the other night. They were able to overwhelm the Panthers at time. And they also got incredibly lucky because how many posts did the Panthers end up hitting? How many empty nets were they not bearing down on that Skinner was able to get across on a piece of the puck? So Oilers had good fortune and good luck going their way the other night. The Panthers didn't necessarily have the luck on their side. They certainly didn't have the luck on their side because it was going crossbar and up instead of crossbar down. It was going post instead of posted in, it was going post and wide. So it was meant to be that the Oilers won that. And what I did like from the Oilers' point of view is they never took their foot off the gas pedal. I kept telling my son, I said, these guys, they've got to get the 6 goals. And, when they were at 4, I said, they got to get the 6. They got to get the 6 for me to feel safe on behalf of the Oilers because I really felt the Panthers, the way they started to tilt the ice near the end of the game, it was certainly the third period. It looked like they could mount a comeback. If they got one, then all of a sudden the Oilers start to tighten up because their defensemen really aren't that good, as a group, as a 6-man unit. I definitely favor what the Panthers have iced in the playoffs.
The fourth game to win is the hardest to win, as they say, and I'm just wondering what you would do if you were Paul Maurice, because I'm getting reports this morning out of Sunrise that Ryan Lomberg is on the fourth line. He hasn't played in this series. He's only played 3 games all playoffs, and the fans love him. Would you be tinkering with many lineup changes if you were Pomo?
I love Ryan Lomberg. He takes a pound of flesh. He doesn't just make contact. He tries to put you through the boards, break the glass. He'll add to the forecheck to get on those Oiler defensemen. So, the biggest thing, and you mentioned it, the fourth game is the hardest to win. And I was looking at the other night, I saw a lot of the wives and girlfriends and family members from the Panthers. And, a lot of times, I don't know what the team services are like. I imagine they're excellent. I know when the Capitals went to the finals, the players' families and friends were all deferred to the team for tickets and travel arrangements. The players didn't have to worry about getting the wife and kids there. And I don't know what the situation with the Panthers, but I know a lot of that, what creeps into the mind of players in those closeout games, are thinking about how are we going to, celebrate? When do I get the cup? They're thinking about the parade, and they're not thinking about the game. I think tomorrow night that the Panthers players are going to be thinking about winning their shift, winning the period, ultimately winning the game, however many periods that takes. But get rid of all that other stuff. They've learned a lesson, if any of that was in there that I'm talking about, and go out and play your hearts out tomorrow night. Play as though no matter what, we are not going back to Edmonton. That has to be their focus and the only mindset that they can have going forward.
Okay, last one. It is nice to see that you are home. You got your boy with you. What's your deal for the summer? Are you there working? You there on a vacation? A working vacation? What's your deal, Al?
The things I wanted to give my son an experience of a lifetime, seeing a playoff game in Canada. And he said the other night it was the greatest experience he's ever had at a sporting event. And he's been with me in Washington. He was in Vegas with me, with my daughter, standing by my side on our set as the Capitals won that Stanley Cup. And he said the other night he just couldn't believe how insane the people were, how the love of it, the amount of jerseys and everything going on. And he was just over the top. He kept belly laughing all game long. So I can use it as work because I am representing CBS Sports while I'm here, but I'm here visiting my mom, visiting my friends, and hopefully I get a game 6 and we get a game 6 that we can go to. And I told my son the other night, he goes, "Do you think the Oilers are going to win?" I said, well, either way, we're in for a treat. We're in for an amazing fan experience if they win. And if the Panthers win, we get to see a team hoist the Stanley Cup, because most hockey fans never get to do that in person their entire lives. And there was an opportunity we could have seen I've seen a bunch. I saw all the Oilers in person, and I was with the Oilers, with the exception of 1990. But it's just incredible to be up here. It feels like forever since they last played. And I agree with the NHL making those travel days, because we know about the difficulties they had getting out of Fort Lauderdale the other day. But it's been spectacular to be back there and see people have hope and a Canadian hockey dream of winning the Stanley Cup once again since 1993.
Good. And you get to visit the Stone Face, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
As I
we'll
know.
See you, Rod.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thanks for fitting us in, Al. Enjoy your time. Alan May of Monumental Sports Network.